You're listening to Your Magical Midlife, the podcast for women 40 and up. I'm Kate Higgins. I'm a licensed clinical social worker turned coach, and I'm here to be your guide, your friend, and your mentor. I'm here to light your way into your most magical midlife. Let's dive in. So let's start at the beginning. What does it mean to have a magical midlife? Why do I want to have a magical midlife? And why do I want you to have a magical midlife? When we're little, we have big dreams, and our dreams are hopefully not squashed immediately by the adults around us. There's a time in our lives where everything seems possible. Think back to when you were 5 or 6 or 4 or as young as you can remember being. And remember how it felt to pretend and to play and to really think about who you wanted to be when you grew up or even just where you wanted to be in the moment. There was always a game to play where you were a soldier or you were a superhero or you were a cowgirl or you were a ballerina or you were an actress or you were even just someone's mother, right? We played games, and the games felt really, really real in that moment. In that moment, you really were on Mars or Venus or the prima ballerina or whatever it was you were dreaming up. You didn't have to dream that hard. It was just easy. And you could really see it for yourself. You could really feel how it would feel. And it was real for that time you were with your friends and playing pretend. And as an adult, we get so weighed down by reality. We're told, you got to do this and you got to do that. You got to do this job and you got to sit at your desk and you got to just make money and you got to, pay your mortgage and you got to pay your car loan. And you got to have health insurance and you got to go to the dentist and you got to get your mammogram and you got to cook dinner and you got to take care of your kids or you got to take care of your partner or whatever. And it just becomes a day-to-day grind. And the dreams and the imagination seem like superficial, superfluous. That's the word I was looking for. That's the word I couldn't quite remember. It seemed silly. It seemed silly to think of anything else but the day-to-day things that we have to do. And that's not how I want to live, and that's probably not how you want to live either. I want to make space for expansion, and I want to make space for daydreaming, and I want to make space for imagination, because I want those things. I want to have an amazing life, and I don't think it's quote-unquote too late for me, and it's not too late for you either. And I'm sure you've had amazing adventures along your way. If you're 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, however old you are, I'm sure you've lived a life that's been peppered with magic. But what if that was your day-to-day reality? And what if it was just a choice to make? That you could decide at any moment that your life was absolutely magical? What if it was just changing your mind about the way that you view things on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis? What if it was just a change of attitude? What if it wasn't weird or woo-woo or freaky or witchy? And by the way, I am, for the record, woo-woo, weird, witchy. Okay? If you're listening to this podcast, if you've stumbled on this podcast, strap in, my friend. I'm going to be bringing the actual magic to you. There's going to be tarot readings. There's going to be astrology. There's going to be some spells. Okay? So if that's not your thing, move on to the next podcast. I am here for the magic and the joy and the wonder because I believe in it. And also, I think it's here with us every day, and I don't think it's anything weird. I think it's just a matter of shifting our perception. And this might come as a shock to you. I believe in like regular God. And what I mean regular God is I grew up Catholic and I still have a lot of elements of Christianity in me. I'm just not necessarily down with the way the Catholic Church is run. Everything else about Jesus is amazing. Jesus was fucking awesome. I'm a big fan of Jesus. And I'm a big fan of earth religions. I'm a big fan of all religions. I am pan-spiritual. Did I just make that up? I probably didn't. Probably somebody else came up with that. But I like all religions. I think that God is amazing. I think the world is a miracle. I think every day that we wake up is a fucking gift. I think that magic is everywhere. Spirit is everywhere. It is all about just connecting to it, connecting to the energy of God. And I think it is all around us. I don't have any answers for what happens to us after we die. I have lots of speculation, but it's just speculation. And I don't know what happens to our consciousness. And this is getting a little heavier than I intended it to be. But getting back to the point. Midlife. We're at this middle point of our lives. You could live another 50 years. Even if you're 50 right now, you might be able to live another 50 years. If you're healthy, if medical advances keep going the way they've gone, it could happen. And we have this moment in our lives now at that midpoint to think and reconnect to that. We have a pause. Let me back up. We're at this pause point in our lives where we're thinking about where we were in the past and where we want to be in the future. And what if you could go back to your 6-year-old self and sidle up to her and sit next to her, see her in your head, and connect with all her dreams, all her things that she wanted to be, and tell her that she's going to have so many of them. She is going to have love, and she is going to have beauty, and she is going to have joy, and she is going to have wonder. And just sit with her and remind her of that. Now take a moment and go all the way forward and sit next to your 85-year-old self and tell her that your life was filled with moments of joy. Your life was just nuggets of goodness strung next to one another, just stacked up. Your life was beautiful pearls strung together, just making the most gorgeous, gorgeous necklace you can imagine. And that every single moment was beautiful. Even the ones that she thought at the time were tragedies. I think of when I sat next to my mother when she was in hospice, and we sat with her for, 5 days while she died. And it was a long 5 days. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it was excruciating to sit there and just watch the life leak out of her and watch her chest rise and fall and hear her labored breathing, and to cry quietly and sit there and hold her hand and talk to her and whisper to her and take those moments you needed just to go to the bathroom and like try to calm yourself down and get yourself together and to just go back there and sit. And even though that was one of the most painful times of my life, I would still say that that was one of the most beautiful times of my life. And I got to be so connected to her. I got to be so connected to my brother. I got to be so connected to my dad, who's a difficult person. And that will be a whole other episode. And I got to really connect with my friends, because I took breaks and I called my friends and I talked, and my partner, I got to connect to my partner. I got to just really be in the moment because every single moment was precious. And that's the magic of life. Those are the moments where the magic is. The magic is in the space between. It's in waking up and seeing the sun rise. It's in looking at the stars in the sky. It's in the flowers that grow every spring. It's in the cycles of nature. That is pure magic. And midlife is the time to take stock of that and connect with that and to be with that. And that's why I'm doing this podcast. Now, before we close, I'm going to pull a card for this episode. And that's something I'm going to do every episode until I get sick of that. And I want you to take a moment and close your eyes and to focus on something. And it doesn't matter what you're focusing on. And it doesn't matter that you're going to be receiving this reading at a different time than I pulled this card. It doesn't matter. It's just going to be whatever pops up for us. Just a little splash of inspiration. And our card is the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles is like Midas, like King Midas. Everything he touches turns to gold. This is about being secure. This is about being centered. This is about being successful, but you have built your success. So think of your life, your magical midlife, as a place that we get to in life where we feel we've achieved to a certain extent and there's more that we want to do. But you take that moment to take stock, to appreciate, to savor, and to enjoy, and to know that you've planted those seeds. And what you have right now is the harvest of all the seeds that you've planted up until this moment. And hopefully they're good. Hopefully what you've sown is beautiful. And guess what? If it's not exactly what you wanted, you still have time. We're just at the middle, and we're just getting started. Thanks again for listening to Your Magical Midlife. I'm Kate Higgins, your host. You can follow me on Instagram at Your Magical Midlife. You can check out my offerings on my website, www.yourmagicalmidlife.com. I offer one-to-one coaching, group coaching, retreats, a blog, and this podcast. Please remember to like, rate, and review to keep me in those algorithms. Have a great week. See you soon.